pure ass fucking comedy. I'd fucking laugh if it wasn't so evil. The Guardian is reporting there's an uptick in suicides of domestic abuse. The same country on record for covering up an MI6 created grooming gang ring that affected thousands and thousands and thousands of girls in the UK, likely on the behest, as usual, of Zionist ethnonationalists to sue ethnonationalist resentment against Muslims. And their favorite activity is raping kids, so they came up with this grooming gang scam to enable these men, help them organize to rape low-income girls just so they could report it and say they're against it, like Elon Musk. They're reporting all of a sudden there's this uptick in suicides of domestic abuse victims. And what makes this so odious and gross is the way they covered up the human trafficking, other than not looking for the girls when they disappeared from school, other than repeatedly overlooking red flags that they're being abused, other than telling the cops to stand down if anything, charge the victims with crimes, all of which happened. And they're pretending it was wokeness when it was obviously a top-down intelligence plot. One huge strategy they used was to label the victims as girlfriends. So, like, if they show up to services pregnant or claiming they were beat and raped, they would legit document Ali, whatever, Ali Patel is the boyfriend of this girl. They labeled them as girlfriends, even though they were not girlfriends. In some cases, literally just they would take a taxi ride and drag them to the house and repeatedly beat and rape them until they could get complicity. Okay, I will obey you so I don't get beat again. Even though that was going on, and only some of the time they used the lover boy strategy where they literally did have a relationship at first. The system labeled all these girls as partners of these abusers, of these rapists, traffickers. So how fucking gross it is that now they're reporting, according to our data, there's an increase of suicides amongst domestic abuse victims. And I'm like, yeah, I'd expect that totally if all your documentation is labeling human trafficked children as girlfriends. Of course, everyone knows human traffic victims kill themselves. It's literally called a fate worse than death. They call human trafficking a fate worse than death. So I fully expect a lot of them to try to kill themselves. That's why literally all of them have a story about trying to kill themselves. You don't see that with actual domestic violence because they were not dragged from their houses, raped in a little cab until they were told, you're a white whore and will obey me. And then they wheel them out in society. And when questioned, they just go along because they were raped and beaten until they did. So when you're labeling all those people girlfriends, I fully expect your stats to show domestic abuse, which is what you're documenting it as, to avoid stopping these people because you have top-down orders from MI6 that all of a sudden all the women of the UK are killing themselves over domestic abuse because there were never, like, a good chunk of these people are not domestic abuse cases, they are traffic cases. And this was extensively how you covered it up, other than telling social services not to look for the kids, other than telling the police to stand down and if they must do something, charge the victim. Other than all that shit, a huge way you got away with is whenever they did preventive services for like an abortion or pregnancy or being beat up and raped, it would be documented that they are in a consensual couple and this is their boyfriend, Ali Patel, and Jane Holloway, the broke girl from a poor place in England, is his girlfriend. So that right away wipes off the link of what really happened to her, right? So when that's the case and all your documentation is these people are girlfriends, partners, don't be surprised if all of a sudden, unlike every trend in the past, they're killing themselves. It's because they were not girlfriends, they were trafficked.